We're here with another Brit Wres Special. This week it is a West Midlands special as we speak to one of the newest promotions in the West Midlands. It is Black Country Championship Wrestling that has seen NXT UK stars Tyson T-Bone and Dan Maloney, as well as stars like Man Like Doris and Lee Hunter. And one of our guests today, please welcome RC Chaos and BCCW promoter, Tom Priest.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you for coming on today. Thank you for reaching out. We love the messages we get from you guys, and we always want to try and support you. We like to support everybody as much as we can, but we really see what you guys are doing in that West Midlands areas, and it's fantastic. We're Tea and Tights. We're the Great British Wrestling podcast for Great British Wrestling, as featured on bodyslam.net, brought to you by Powerful TV. I am the Great British Attacker, Mr. Andrew Moore, Andy to most. Big Daddy Dan is not with us. It is election night, and he is a local councillor, and we wish him all the best and luck today, and hopefully he gets the result he wants. But as I say, we're really looking forward to having you on. He's disappointed he couldn't be here, but we know your times. It's difficult sometimes. You have to make time when you can, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Big Daddy Dan's got to take care of the politics, baby.
Absolutely, yeah.
Looking out for the people. So you're coming off the back of your fifth show now, which was Showdown in Sedgley. Oh, six.
Yeah, six shows. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah.
A huge main event. You had the 0121 Man Like Doris and Dan Maloney. Nobody gets a crowd hype like Man Like Doris does.
Oh, absolutely.
Against one of the up-and-coming tag teams of the West Midlands area, the Clarkewood Brothers, who may be a little less known to the people. So you want to give some background on those two guys?
Yeah, so obviously they're brothers, Matt and Mark. They're local guys. They're from Tipton, and we have numerous conversations about the Clark Brothers because they are, I cannot believe that they're not booked everywhere. They are incredible. They are so talented. They're great guys. I say it's.
You wouldn't believe how long they've been doing it, really, because the Clarks, for example, have had a hand in training Dan Maloney, Doris. They ran a unit with Lee Hunter, Jim Hunter as a four, and their training in Tipton really set off, a taboo promotion now, I guess, but like Fight Club Pro and so on and so forth. A lot of the training took place there. Kamikaze was there for a number of years too. So yeah, they've been very influential for people in the Black Country in the West Midlands, and I guess just not known wider.
No, which is very hard to. It's hard to understand, isn't it? Really, we always say,
we're in the thick of it, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I love tag team wrestling. Always a huge supporter of tag team wrestling and proper tag teams as well, not just thrown together people. Yeah, so when you have brothers, I think it's always such a unique dynamic to a tag team.
Mm-hmm. Twins as well.
Twin brothers. Yeah. Twins. Yeah, we can figure them out, can't we? Because one's got a bigger beard than the other now. So yeah.
It was difficult for a while.
It was. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned, obviously, the Hunter brothers there, Jim and Lee, and what Lee is doing at the moment all around, because he's suddenly out there as a singles competitor and has really been picking up some great momentum, and just such a great tag team, such great guys to have behind you guys as well, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Lee's on fire. And I'll go back to what I said about the Clarks. For years we've seen this, we know this, and yeah, Lee and Jim absolutely did really well as a tag team together, and so on and so forth. Like you say, Lee's on his own now, but he's finding his way, and he absolutely deserves everything he gets to him. He's absolutely fantastic.
One of the best, Lee Hunter. One of the best.
Yeah, he took a show to Umino RevPro UK recently, and well, it was a couple of months back now, but honestly was Shota Umino's best match I have seen, and it was just because of the way Lee guided him through the match, sold for him, and just everything about Lee is so professional.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, that's a fantastic word to describe him. He's professional in every way. He's great. He's great.
Another great match to check out is on Modern Nomad Pro Wrestling. Him against Dean Allmark.
Okay.
3 on their YouTube. Brilliant match because it's Dean Allmark, of course, but and because it's Lee Under and such, and yeah, so many great things. But we talked about them. 0121. They are leading the way as that top West Midlands guys right now, and they are Darius reps it proudly. Everywhere he goes, he reps the 0121, and just a phenomenal talent.
Absolutely, the race is on fire. That's what everybody says.
The race is on fire,
and that's the truth. He's absolutely on fire. You know, the new merch drop that he's done recently as well, the Lyric Dragon, and so on and so forth. It just all works. It's great. Just everything from his entrance to his in-ring work. Darius is on fire, and we're looking to have him, as we are with everybody else that you just mentioned, the Clarks, Lee, Dan Maloney, and the rest of the roster for that matter.
Absolutely.
So another group that's really beginning to break out, and partly due to Lucia Lee and her popularity and her rise, but you've also seen the guys from BDK, Bishop, Mankled Wesker, and the rest. It's Grayson, huge team, and they seem to be a focal point for you guys at the moment.
Yeah.
They've come in, they've taken over in kayfabe terms. They literally want it all, and that's from talking to them behind the scenes as individuals and people, and how well they want to do, and what direction they all want to go in, whether that's as the group, the BDK, as individuals, as tag teams, because there's so many different units, and then of course there's Lucia Lee as well, as her own entity, if you like, and you know, since COVID's ended and we've gone back to wrestling shows and so on and so forth. When you talk about momentum, and especially for us, and someone that we're proud to have is Lucia Lee. Her momentum is just through the roof, and the BDK are with that, and they're the ones that are providing feedback every show that she's on, and then they're vice versa doing the same when they're together. And I've seen them backstage, and if they've not been happy with something, they're happy to have that conversation with each other. Never mind wait for the promoter to do it, or whoever's, you know, agent in a match or so on and so forth. They'll have a conversation with each other backstage. That could have been better, and they're all about developing and progressing. And that comes a lot with Bevan's group at No Mercy Wrestling down in Wales.
Yeah.
Now, Lucia Lee, she's been on a roll. She had defeating Alana Blue, Leia Raven, and of course she had the Open Challenge this week. Who met the Open Challenge this time round?
So that was met by Carson Bailey, who was more than happy to accept the challenge. Crowbar Carson Bailey, we should actually call him, shouldn't we? Crowbar
Carson Bailey.
Yes, that was to they got the Friday show off to a lively start. We can say
they definitely did that. The thing is, when we debuted in October, one of our feature matches on the night was a Halloween street fight between the man they call Wesker and Carson Bailey. Post match, the BDK basically attacked Carson Bailey, used the chair to his throat, and he hasn't been able to speak since. So this was his way of speaking by accepting the Open Challenge. Lucy wasn't quite expecting it, was she?
No.
And she ended up going through a table.
That's the hazards of being a wrestler. I'm sure she must be in your ears about a possible BCCW Women's Championship. So, any plans at the moment?
There's a lot of plans, including a fully fledged women's division, a women's championship, and how we go about doing that. Whether it be a one-night tournament, whether we do it over a few months. There is so much to consider when it comes to a women's division and having the right women there too. And there's a lot of talented women up and down this country. And it seems that women's wrestling now, more so than ever, is on fire.
Absolutely. Yeah, completely agree. And I mean, one of the other possible plans that we've talked about is there's another two guys that run Black Country Championship Wrestling with us, Martin Holland and Daniel Cornfield. And Martin especially is a big fan of women's wrestling, and one of the things that he would like to do is a whole event dedicated to women's wrestling. So it would be a whole event with that as well. So that's something else that we've talked about. Like you said, there's lots and lots of plans. We could write a book on plans that we've talked about. It's just getting around to doing everything and not overloading everything all in one go and all the rest of it. And yeah, so
got to be realistic at the end of the day. It's still our first year as a business, and when we looked at setting this up initially, we talked about potentially doing, I don't know, 4 shows this year, right?
Yeah.
And the takeoff was so popular when we launched, and that's continued. So you know, we added more dates, and we are running more shows, and we're thoroughly enjoying it. We absolutely are, but there's so much to consider: cost of living increases and so on and so forth, and venue is really important too. So where we are now is, you know, although it's great, it's not where our vision is. And again, that's all part of the plans that we talk about to increase women's division, a heavyweight champion, tag team champions, all of those things that a successful promotion should have is definitely on our huge list, and wanting to get them done as soon as possible, but also making them mean something and doing it in the right way, which I feel we did with the King of the Division Championship.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we always do love chatting with promoters. So what is the biggest headache most of the time when putting the shows together?
I'll let you answer that one, Tom, because mine's probably different to yours.
That's a good question.
Is it? You've got him on the spot now.
You have got me on the spot with that one. I think as regards to putting cards together and putting matches together, I think we're very good with that on that side, aren't we?
He's enjoying it. He's clearly still in the honeymoon phase.
I think so.
So for me, I wouldn't say there's anything that's massively difficult, but producing a wrestling show, you know, that to me was a transition as well. So I've been wrestling best part of 11 years, and running wrestling shows. I've had brief experiences. So I ran a one-off show back in 2014. I want to say it was successful, but I wasn't able to continue with it. Just family circumstances and so on and so forth. So this has now really given us an opportunity to go and do what we want in the right way. And our experience started basically booking with the head booker at Future Championship Wrestling, which is a local promotion in Gornal. It's a big UK promotion. It's probably one of the longest running UK promotions in the country. You know, all the stars have been there. Rockstar Spud, I'll just put him out there. He's probably Dave Mastiff. You know, that those types of people have been through the doors there, and that's where we met, got together, started enjoying what we were doing, and then during COVID said, right, maybe we should give this a go, and that's where we are today. So in terms of headache, producing a show can be difficult and can be challenging, because, you know, characters have a vision of where they want to be, where they want to go. And ultimately, we have a vision based on their character, based on our storylines that we've got going. So having those sometimes challenging conversations, that can be the headache. But I thoroughly enjoy it, and I want them to be invested in what I'm pitching as much as I want them to come with a pitch too and make the product better. If the fans are going to enjoy it, because we're saying, oh yes, this is a really good idea. We think they will enjoy it. Let's go do it.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons why it's going so smooth as well is because we sort of we've all got our roles, haven't we? And we help each other out, and nobody's completely on their own or overloaded or anything like that. And you just mentioned about the having to speak to the roster and ideas that we've got. From day one, we've had a little sort of motto to ourselves that we want to put on a good wrestling show for good people, with good people, and everybody is, you know, there's no problems, is there, as regards to that? Everybody's on board, and it's great, and it's healthy, and it's refreshing, and yeah.
One of the biggest issues is a lot of our promoters have now. I haven't seen it yet with you guys actually. Is sort of like talent not being in, pulling out of shows due to COVID, sickness, or anything. You haven't had huge amounts of issues with that I can think of. I can't think of a time that you've ever said this person is now not at the show.
I think we just had it recently.
We had one last week, but we hadn't actually announced a match at the time. So yeah, that was due to a bit of an injury, wasn't it?
Yeah, an injury. So Eddie Cobain was the person in question. Unfortunately, got an injury picked up a week before at a UKWA show up in Stoke, right? Yeah. And then pulled out of our show, which is absolutely fine. I've had to pull out, recently. I've been injured, so Tom made the call. I was supposed to be wrestling in March at Suicidio, and Tom said, no, you're injured, you're not working. Whereas I wanted to work, but ultimately these days, this is why we have first aiders. This is why we have people that can make those decisions rather than just the wrestler sucking up and saying, yes, I want to go. No, let's do it. Let's do it the proper way. Let's look after ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Now, one of your competitors, a bit of somebody who likes to throw caution to the wind and has become a bit of a cult legend in Luke Douglas. Teams with Clint Margera as the bleed. What's it like controlling somebody like that? Well,
Luke is one of the most laid-back people that I know. He is so laid-back. And how we mentioned before about working with good people and people helping, you can literally say anything to Luke and he'll just go, yeah, man. He's so easy going. I mean, when he works with Clint Margera, when they're tagging the type of matches that they have together, it's completely opposite with us, really, isn't it? He's really bringing out the 21st century hero character, which is something that we talked about with him. We talked about being a sort of almost like a 1999 Chris Jericho type character, because he's never worked as a babyface regular before, so he was always a little bit like this, but just said go out there and enjoy yourself and have some fun, and that's exactly what he's doing. And the crowd have been responding and taking to it. Responded to him, and he deserves everything that he's getting as well. Yeah,
he does.
He's a good guy.
He's definitely got one of the best attitudes in the locker room, that's for sure. He'll turn up, he'll do what he's asked to do, but he'll also have an input and wanting to do things in the right way, and then he'll go out and do it, and he'll absolutely nail it, and then he'll come back and sit down and he'll be nice and chilled out before he leaves. Yes. It's literally, you couldn't ask for a better personality backstage at all. And that's, like Tom says, one of the things that we look for is good people. You know, if they're going to promote a healthy, positive backstage atmosphere, 9 times out of 10 that transmits to when they go out in front of a crowd, and usually transmits back, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's it. There's a real togetherness, isn't there? When we're running a show, the sort of backstage, the atmosphere backstage, everybody, I think just about everybody that's joined up with us has commented, haven't they? You know, it was a really nice atmosphere and whatever. But to be fair, I mean, those guys create that atmosphere themselves.
They do.
So, you know, it's, like I say, just good people, really. So, yeah.
We have a code of conduct, but at the same time, we want people to be relaxed. We want people to enjoy themselves. Work doesn't have to be always stressful, does it?
No.
So let's talk about the influence of the West Midlands on the British wrestling scene, because there has been a huge influence, and partly due to the Hunters and the work that they've been doing. But you got guys like Dave Mastiff, Trent Seven and other guys like that. But so where do you think that comes from? How did the West Midlands start to evolve in wrestling?
Good question.
I just think that the Black Country, especially, I mean, you can include the West Midlands, Birmingham in that. But the Black Country is a hotspot for British wrestling, and has been for a number of years. There is a lot of promotions locally. Scale varies, and talent varies too, depending on where you go and who you see and what you get for your money, whether that be an established name, like you mentioned, Dave Mastiff, Trent Seven, for example. I think everybody that would listen to this podcast would know those names. But then, some of the people, people might not know myself, for example, or, our King of the Division champion, Regan, Lucas Casimir, CJ Rawlins is making a name for himself at the minute, so those type of talent and characters aren't so recognised, but they're here and they're doing it and they're grinding week in, week out. And it's just having that exposure on the scene more than what there has been. And that's been obviously a slow turn in progress after COVID, but it's moving along.
Mm-hmm.
The train's on the right track. And I think people will see that more as the future develops.
So how important is it to develop that local talent within your promotions, like BCCW?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of the right way to say it, really. I mean, these guys, they've worked hard for a number of years, and we're sort of taking the opportunity to help them as well, but also giving them another opportunity to get on another show, and whatever you can book some top talent from up and down the country. You really can, and we like to mix it up, whatever, but we like to keep things fresh, and we like to say the names that you mentioned, just Lucas Casimir. You've already mentioned Luke Douglas, CJ Rawlins, Lucia Lee as well. They're hard-working people, hard-working people, and we've got people that we bring in from elsewhere, from up and down the country, and we like to give the local guys like CJ Rawlins. When CJ Rawlins wrestled against James Mason, it was a dream of his from when he was a kid. I mean, the storyline was making it so that there was a missed hand shake or something.
James Mason didn't give him a high five at a holiday camp show.
But
CJ Rawlins has held a grudge ever since.
But the love that CJ Rawlins had for James Mason was genuine from all those years ago, and he's openly said for a long time, I'd love one day to wrestle James Mason. So that's what we did, and CJ Rawlins is another one. He deserves everything he gets because he's dedicated, he's hardworking, he's a character. He's one of the first there. He's one of the last to leave. He's polite. He shakes your hand. He says thank you. He says please. He's just a good guy, isn't he? And
that's the thing. Why shouldn't people like that get opportunities? When you look at Progress, for example, obviously biggest promotion in the country. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that statement. Maybe, I don't know. You tell me. But look at Warren Banks as an example. Okay, so before COVID, I wasn't massively familiar with Warren Banks in terms of now the push that he's getting and the stuff that he's doing, especially in Progress and up and down the country too. I think he's an established name in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an opportunity that's been given to him in Progress. We're not doing anything really different, just with someone from the Black Country or the West Midlands.
No, yeah, because you get two different types of promotions. Ones that will try and build around a local pool and local talent, and then you do get some startup promotions. So just want to bring in every established name they can think of, and not sometimes just not support who's local. So that's good. That's one of the reasons why we like to support you guys, because we can see, look down your show, and yes, you've had some big names, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Tyson T-Bone for one, but it's great to see you using that homegrown talent and building a pool, because that's how Progress did it originally themselves. They built a talent pool, RevPro UK, a bit more different. They brought in established sort of like IPW stars, but TNT Extreme, they're doing the same up there in Liverpool, building around local stars. And I think this is what creates more popularity, because you get the local community involved in it much more. Now let's talk about Tyson T, because I've never had the chance to actually ask a promoter about what it's like to book NXT UK talent. Is it different? Do you have to go through NXT UK? Do you just contact? How does this work?
So yeah, I mean, there is rules to stick by, such as you can't use any WWE logos, for example, on advertising. On-demand video services, I think you possibly can, but you have to get permission, but it's not something that we've got around to yet, to do with the show. First aid and having a paramedic present, and which is things that we do anyway. But yeah, with Tyson T-Bone, it was literally a case where, because he knows a lot of the guys on the shows, particularly like the Hunter brothers and the Clarks as well. And after the show that we did, he just turned up, didn't he? He just literally turned up, and he was like, I wanted to see this match, the Hunter brothers versus Clarks, and I mean, it didn't turn out that way in the end due to
Jim had just
the birth of Jim's baby that exact week. But he came up to watch and spoke to us after the show, and I think we asked him for some feedback in our first show, and he spoke to us, and literally it was just a case of what's the chances of.
And that's the thing. If someone like a Tyson T-Bone, he's in your audience, and you're a new promotion or you're an established promotion, you should be asking for feedback.
Definitely.
This man's been around a while. He's seen it all, so he knows what works, he knows what doesn't work, and he can provide very constructive feedback that makes you want to go away, work on it, and improve it moving forward. And then the opportunity came where we were running our second show in Sedgley for Xmas gimmicks, and it was a message exchange that started off with, I'd really like to come and work with you. And then it was, well, how can we make that happen? Once that was done, then it was, okay, how do we do this now then? And I think, Tom drops the line a lot, but anything can happen in Black Country Championship Wrestling, as Tom says. And we try and go by that, because so everybody likes a surprise, right? Everybody. So if we can surprise the audience with a Tyson T-Bone turning up on the night, then wow, what else can happen? And it all just fell into place and worked wonders, really. Really solid match in Sedgley, and then he come back in January as well in Allens in Tipton, and we'd like to have him back more. It's just arranging dates around tapings and so on and so forth, and schedule clashes that haven't really been able to do that since, but I'm sure we'll find some time to get him in somewhere. He'll definitely be back.
Now, surely at some point you probably want to get the bomber in from the Black Country, Big Dave Mastiff. Any any plans yet, or can you just not say?
I think the only thing we can say is you probably have to go and follow us on social media, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and pay maybe very close attention in the coming months.
Jeez, who knows? That would be great to see.
BCCW, anything can happen.
But yeah, that would be a match made in heaven.
Oh, absolutely.
We'd absolutely love the opportunity to have Dave on. So yeah, who knows? Black Country Day, when's that? Sorry,
July.
Oh, July. Okay. When's our show in July?
22nd,
July 22nd. Okay.
something like that. 22nd.
But June 10th's first, so we've got to get to there first.
Before we talk about your Mount Rushton, let's talk about the influence that Dave Mastiff has had on the Black Country, and so you guys, because you guys have probably been influenced by him and started to grow up. So what's it been like to have such a huge star now, well established?
From the Black Country, you mean?
Yeah, so just how much of influence has he had on the scene?
Dave's a huge influence. He's similar to who you mentioned before,
Trent Seven as well. Tyler Bate, of course, he's literally 10 minutes down the road, and yeah, he's great, Dave. I remember Dave from the promotion that we mentioned earlier on, Future Championship Wrestling. I remember Dave from the early days of there when he wrestled under the name Dave Gonzalez as well. Literally, I don't know whether that was where Dave started, but he was, like you said, the list of names on the show back then. You had Rockstar Spud, who was just Spud at the time. You had Dave Gonzalez and what else was there? Saul Adams and people, even people. A guy who I used to really rate called Jack Storm.
Yeah,
it was great as well. So seeing Dave where he is now, and then thinking back to those times, I mean, like you said, it's great. It's great, and you've got to take your hats off to them. They've been dedicated for such a long time, and again, excuse me, he deserves everything he gets.
It comes back to what we were saying earlier, opportunities, isn't it? So, Dave was given an opportunity 10, 15 years ago at FCW. That might have been one show last Sunday of every month in Gornal, but then that opportunity led to that next opportunity, and Dave wanted to put the work in and move from that opportunity to that opportunity, and so on and so forth, to get where he is now, and he's worked extremely hard for that. And the same can be said for Rockstar Spud, Trent Seven, Tyler Bate, Pete Dunn. These are influences from the local area. This is the West Midland area that we're talking about specifically, and that's a Survivor Series team that I've just named.
Okay, I can remember speaking of Trent Seven. I can remember one of my friends. He's a really good cricket player, and he was playing cricket, one of the local cricket clubs, and he said to me, "Yeah, you have to come to the cricket." And I was like, "I want to go to the cricket." He was like, "One of my mates is putting a wrestling show on after."
And it's in this little clubhouse on the side of a cricket pitch. And lo and behold, it was Trent Seven. Nobody would have known all these years later, and whatever. But they literally, a group of friends, they bought a ring, and they just kept going and going and going and going and going. And you have to take your hat off to these people, don't you? They literally started from scratch in a little cricket clubhouse that probably had 15 or 20 people in there.
Yep.
And then they took that and carried on into Fight Club Pro. And, there were so many people who used to go to Fight Club Pro, and the people that you used to see at Fight Club Pro and whatever. And the dedication and hard work that they put into it, they deserve everything they get.
Yeah,
it's great. It's great to see. Really good to see.
Millie McKenzie's another one of them.
Yes.
At the moment. Suplex Millie, one of my favourites. Just bursting onto the scene one day. She will challenge Asuka, I'm sure. Mako Satomura at some point. I'm sure of it. But let's talk about. Now we always ask the question: Mount Rushton of British wrestling. Who do you think has been the most influenced? So we'll say that you have to have at least one person from the West Midlands. I think one person each, and then just a couple of agreed people from all over the country.
Wow. I feel like because my eldest son will be watching this, so I feel like
let him down.
I feel like I can't let him down, so I'm going to throw in
Dan Maloney and Trent Seven.
Okay. Oh yeah, they're just up there, aren't they? They're
Yeah.
established people and so on and so forth. You know, for me, it's Lee Hunter. It really is from around the West Midlands. I know that he's on fire right now, but he's always been in the tag team. He's always been the Hunter brothers. You know what I mean? The heat is on, so on and so forth. This Lee Hunter is a very different Lee Hunter, and he's showing everybody exactly what he's capable of. And you know, I seen it years ago. The first time I watched Lee Hunter was actually me and Dan was sitting in the crowd watching it. Dan Maloney was 14, 15 at the time, I think it was. It was an AWW show. It was in Birmingham. It was at the Asylum venue near the city centre. And it was actually Lee Hunter versus Jim Hunter. And it went to a time limit draw. And that match got a standing ovation. And that was the first time that I'd seen Lee in the ring. And Jim, and they both obviously amazed me. And you know, since then I've had the opportunity to team with Lee, wrestle Lee, and so on and so forth. And yeah, Lee Hunter is one of the best in this country, and he should be doing everything and wrestling everybody.
And coming out to the heat is just absolutely brilliant because it's a classic.
Absolutely, everybody needs a bit of Glenn Fry in their life.
Just always reminds me of Eddie Murphy in
yes,
Beverly Hills Cops. Number 2, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Spot on.
Love that. I grew up on those two.
Leo love that. Leo love that, by the way.
Excellent. We would love to have Lee on. So if you ever do listen to this one, Lee, please reach out to us and we'd be happy to have you on because near 20 years now of being an active, as you say, as a tag team with the Hunter Brothers. I remember his early work with Progress, that tag team match against Project Ego, just 4 incredible talents, just at their peak. Well, not even at their peak, as they were peaking.
Yeah,
just amazing to see because comedic, athletic, everything was there in those matches. And just so great to see. Let's talk about the up and comers though now. So who are you looking to have on more regularly that's maybe only been on 1 or 2 of your shows so far?
Definitely young girl that came up from I'm going to say down south, but I don't think
it's Devon way, isn't it?
Yeah, that way. I could not, if there's any promoters watching this that are willing to give new people a chance and opportunities and whatever, I could not recommend Aluna Blue more. She is one of the most professional people I've known, incredibly polite, easygoing, positive, and she put on, even Lucy said after, when she enjoyed the match. Her and Lucy had one hell of a match.
Yeah.
And definitely, the Black Country audience can look forward to seeing Aluna Blue more. And then, like you say, the guys that we've already mentioned, really, people like Lucas Casimir. I don't think there's much in Luke's moveset that he can't do. He can fly, he can wrestle, he's great.
This is someone, again, pre-lockdown, you wouldn't have really heard of too much. He would have been doing stuff, but under the radar with promotions that, like you mentioned, rely on local talent pools, keep it local, build their base there, and that's their base. They don't want to expand from there. Whereas now Lucas Casimir's branched out from that. First time I seen him back after lockdown was at APW Telford, Dawley Town Hall, where SWA runs as well. And I actually teamed with him in a triple threat tag team match, and I was just impressed by everything from backstage to out in the ring. Just everything was there. He's clearly been doing it a while. And he's been doing it as long as me, if not a little bit longer, to be honest with you. Just we've never crossed paths. And in lockdown, he decided to take himself to the unit that I mentioned earlier with Lee, with your dad, with your Derice, and he's grinded, he's worked hard, and that is now showing on shows where he can go and put on these types of matches. I mean, he beat Lee Hunter and Dan Maloney in a triple threat match on our show in March, and you know, he was there with them. He didn't look out of place. He didn't look like he was behind the beat. He was there with them the entire time, and that's the type of thing that we want to see, and the opportunities that we want to give.
Yeah, CJ Rollins as well. We talked about Luke
Douglas.
Yeah, it's a good mix.
The BDK, Luke Basham. We've got quite a well-rounded local talent pool to mix in with the established stars that we've talked about and that we've mentioned that we have on as well.
Like Keir Kelly, Foxy. Foxy's, he's just great. He really is. He brings bags and bags of experience to the table, and again, he's somebody that will happily sit for hours and give feedback to people. He's easygoing. It's a real good mix, isn't it? It's a real good mix.
Steve Keane, Regan.
Stephen Keane, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's great. It's good. But yeah, definitely. If there's any promoters watching, I would urge them to get in touch with Aluna Blue. I really would. She's a girl with a real bright future.
No, we could sit here for hours talking about each individual that we've mentioned, but if you're asking us to pick one from who, you know, isn't a well-established name as of yet, and who has impressed us probably the most, then Aluna Blue is that person.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember Dan just was at Phenomenal Elite Wrestling just past weekend, and she was there. I can't remember who she was facing on now. I think she was taking on Ivy. He was very, very impressed with her, and I think he even helped her put the ring together or something like that. So
brilliant.
I've heard. So she is working very, very hard. And yes, I've only just seen her yourself. As you said, I've seen her just starting to pop up now on different shows all around that. I suppose South area, I guess, is where she's covering at the moment. So that's great to see, and always brilliant to see young talent start to rise up. Now you've got a huge show, Send Her Victorious, on Friday the 10th of June. You do have a bank holiday special going at the moment on tickets, but I'm probably not going to be able to get this one out till next week, which I think would have ended by then.
Yeah,
but it's a fantastic offer. What are we expecting to see from this show?
A couple of debuts,
yeah. So, you know, talk about people that we might be having on and so on and so forth. We've definitely got a couple for this one lined up, and they'll be released in due time. I'm not gonna give the names away here, but yeah, again, absolutely follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and subscribe to the website, and you'll get to see who they are, and I'm pretty sure you won't be disappointed at the debuts that we're bringing in. And
of course, anything can happen. It's BCCW.
There we go. He's got the gimmick. He's got the gimmick. He's catching up. Well done, Tom. You put that over. I think Tipton, if I'm completely honest, they may need to see the team that's saying they're undefeated in Tipton go one more time with the 0121.
It's not finished, is it?
I don't think it's finished. I think we need to see the 0121 versus Clarkewood in Tipton, and let's see if the 0121 can beat them there.
They've both mentioned it themselves, so yeah,
it's quite possible that could happen on June 10th. The King of the Division title will be on the line, and I'll make it clear now that me and Regan are going to go to war in a no holds barred match. It's been a long time coming, but it's going to happen on June 10th.
That's definitely something to look forward to. Let's have a bit of fun now. If you could bring in anyone from NXT UK who we haven't mentioned already, who would you bring in?
Millie McKenzie. In a heartbeat.
Who from the main roster WWE? If you could bring in just one.
Wow. Other than Butch, you mean?
Other than Butch.
Finn Balor.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Finn Balor. Although Lewis will kill me for not saying AJ Styles.
and I'll fanboy it. I'll say it. I'll just say it as it is. I'd bring in the Miz.
I like the Miz. Got that attitude down to a T. An AEW talent.
Wow, that one's.
We can only name one.
I'll give you one each again. Then
Tom could be here a while. And I'll go first because I've got one straight away. So I actually had the opportunity to train with this individual quite a while ago. Now when they were over, before they signed with WWE, and then now where they are in AEW. So I'd like to say the two of them, but if I was to pick one, then I'm going to go with Adam Cole. I think you probably can put the other one there, Kyle O'Reilly. But if you're making me pick one, it would be Adam Cole.
I think I'm going to. Oh, crikey. Orange Cassidy.
yeah, why not?
Why not? There you go. Why not?
Why not? Anything can happen in BCCW. See, told
See
you.
ya.
Right, guys. Anything else before? Because I've had you now for just under an hour, so I don't want to keep you all night. But anything else you guys want to talk about?
I think so. No? I think just maybe take the opportunity to thank yourself.
Yeah.
Thank you for everything that you do for us on the podcast. It's something I work nights, so the start of every week, it's one of the first things I do at work is listen to your podcast. So I enjoy it. Appreciate everything that you've done for us. Thanks to everybody, no matter what role they've played in BCCW, that have helped us get up and running. Thank you to everybody that buys a ticket. Thank you to the people that keep coming back. We do want to keep doing things like the bank holiday ticket offer because we want to try our best to keep coming back. Oh, the screen's gone off. The screen's gone dead. I can hear you, I can't see you.
That's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not sure what's happened there.
No, I'm not.
Good editing.
Both my cameras are okay, so hopefully it should be
Okay,
fine.
you can see us.
I think in the podcast business, not that I run one or anything, but you normally do this, and then that's how they know when to edit it.
No, we're good. We don't like. Well, every now and then we do an edit, but we tend to be quite clean as much as we can.
Yeah, it's the best way. Comes
Yeah.
across naturally, then, doesn't it?
I think it was the other week where I completely fluffed up trying to do the intro 3 times in a row. And just, I could edit it out if I really want to, but it's just like, you know what? No, I fluffed it. That's what's going to happen.
Exactly. Just go with it.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll keep supporting you. What you guys doing is fantastic. Build that local talent, bring in stars to work with them every now and then, and we certainly wish you all the best. And everyone out there, keep supporting BCCW, keep supporting British wrestling, and don't feed the trolls.